Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to talk about flex slots in the Azorius Artifacts deck in Standard. This is a really cool deck. I've been talking about it over the course of the past few weeks. But we're going to talk about different builds of the Azorius Artifacts deck, starting with what we are not talking about. Look, I found an artifact, a double dagger. Whoa, this is black and red, not Azorius. Come on. This is what we are not talking about. These are the non-flex slots. If you're playing the Azorius Artifact deck, you are pretty much signed up to playing these 52 cards in the main deck and these 7 cards in the sideboard. So the question is, what 8 cards are you playing in the main deck? And what 8 cards as well are you playing in the sideboard? These are your common options. You have 15 cards to pick from in the main deck and 17 cards to pick from in the sideboard. You could play Candy Trail number 3 and 4. Candy Trail is a 1-mana artifact. When this artifact enters Scry 2 and you can pay 2 mana, tap it and sacrifice it to gain 3 life and draw a card. Great way to kind of cycle through your deck. Great way to get that card selection in the really early game when we're not going to be casting a lot of other stuff. You can play up to Enigma Jewel. The Enigma Jewel is a 1-mana legendary artifact. The Enigma Jewel enters tap. You can tap it to add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. And we can craft 4 or more non-land lands with activated abilities and also 9 mana to craft, right, to flip it, to turn it into Locus of Enlightenment. Has each activated ability of exile cards used to craft it. You may activate each of those abilities only once each turn. Whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Obviously the flip side is just like very good in this deck, but also we have a lot of cards in our deck that have activated abilities that cost mana. So the front side is just like really solid as well. We could play up to 3 more. The Iron Crag is a 2-mana legendary artifact. We can tap it to add a colorless. Whenever a legendary creature you control enters, you may have the Iron Crag become a legendary equipment artifact named Everflame Hero's Legacy. If you do, it gains equipped 3, and equipped creature gets +3/+3 and loses all other abilities. That part's not going to happen. Really, we're just playing this for a mana rock. That can be sacked to Repurposing Bay, to be fair. We can play 2 more Clay-Fired Bricks. Clay-Fired Bricks is a 2-mana artifact. When this artifact enters, search your library for a basic Plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 2 life. Has craft with artifact for 7 mana, and it flips into Cosmium Kiln. Is an artifact. When this artifact enters, create 2 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens, and creatures you control get +1/+1. Sort of an alternate win condition. Also allows you to like have some survivability in the early game and make sure you hit your land drops. You play up to 3 High Noon in the main deck. High Noon is a 2-mana enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. And the other ability doesn't really matter. I don't believe there's a way of generating red mana in this deck. This is just really good against the prowess decks, really good against the Omni deck as well. It just kind of neuters a lot of strategies. You can play the 4th Spring-Loaded Sawblade. Spring-Loaded Sawblade is a 2-mana artifact with flash. When this artifact enters, it deals 5 damage to target tapped creature an opponent controls, and it has craft with artifact for 4 mana. And it flips into an artifact vehicle, a 5/5 artifact vehicle. Tap 2 other untapped artifacts you control. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn and has crew 1. The other side is just like a nice alternate win condition. Really, we're playing this card for the front side, being able to have that early game survivability. 5 damage to an attacking creature, a tapped creature is almost always good enough to kill it. We could play a Cryptic Coat. Cryptic Coat is a 3-mana artifact equipment. When this equipment enters, cloak the top card of your library, then attach this equipment to it. The Cryptic creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. You can pay 2 mana to turn equipment to its owner's hand, so again, you can cloak again. We'd be playing this as a 1/of to Repurposing Bay into, which we'll talk about in just a second. Again, just an alternate win condition. It's kind of hard to deal with, especially if you're in the late game, which is really nice. We can play an additional Repurposing Bay. Repurposing Bay is a 3-mana artifact. You can pay 2 mana and tap it, sacrifice another artifact, and search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put that card into the battlefield, then shuffle. You can activate this only as a sorcery. This is effectively a Birthing Pot effect, and allows us to play those 1/ofs like Cryptic Coat and use our deck as a toolbox and be rewarded for playing a ton of artifacts. Though, notably, if things aren't already going well for you, this card isn't going to do anything. So you're going to be selecting 8 of these 15 cards for your main deck. As far as the sideboard goes, you could play up to 2 more Authority of the Consuls. Authority of the Consuls is a 1-mana enchantment. Creatures your opponent control enter tapped, and whenever a creature an opponent controls enters, you gain 1 life. It effectively turns off haste, lets you gain a ton of life. It's great. You could play up to 2 Get Lost. Get Lost is a 2-mana instant. Destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker its controller creates 2 map tokens. Effectively unconditional removal. The map tokens can come back to bite you, but being able to get rid of those enchantments can matter. And then also being able to take out creatures just for 2 mana, and they don't have to be tapped, and they don't have weird things happening or whatever. You can play up 3 Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace is a 2 mana enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile all graveyards. If a card or token will be put into the graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Rest in Peace, just like some of the best graveyard hate ever printed. Though notably, it makes it a little hard to craft with artifacts because we don't have things in our graveyard. But if we're siding in Rest in Peace, it means it's worse for our opponent than us. You can play an additional Temporary Lockdown. Temporary Lockdown is a 3 mana enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. This is just very good against the aggressive decks, very good against like things like Prowess, though bad against Into the Floodmaw, but just all around a good card against the aggressive decks. You can play up to 2 Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce, a 1 mana instant, counter target non-creature spell unless controller pays 2. Just really awesome against the decks that are casting these non-creature spells that can either neuter us or against the combo decks or anything like that. Just really cheap interaction. You play an Unable to Scream. Unable to Scream is a 1 mana enchantment or enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a toy artifact creature with base power and toughness 0-2 in addition to its other types. As long as enchanted creature is face down, it can't be turned face up. Really, really easy and cheap way to stop big scary creatures like Aberranoculus or anything like that from doing bad things to us. Negate, 2 mana counter target non-creature spell. Just all in all, just a really good card. It costs 1 more mana than Spell Pierce. However, it's unconditional non-creature spell, which is really nice. You can play up 3 Ghost Vacuum. Ghost Vacuum is a 1 mana artifact. Exile target card from a graveyard and pay 6 mana and tap it and sacrifice it to put each creature card exiled with this artifact onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So a beautiful part of Ghost Vacuum is it is already an artifact, so it synergizes with our deck. And also it's not turning off a lot of, or making craft with artifact a lot harder like Rest in Peace would. However, it doesn't just get rid of all graveyards. You apply pressure to the graveyards and can only exile one thing at a time. So it's like a give and a take situation of which piece of graveyard hate you actually want to play. And then you could play up to 2 Stonebrain. It is a 2 mana legendary artifact. You can pay 2 mana, tap it, and exile the Stonebrain. Choose a card name, search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with the name, and exile them. The player then shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Activate only as a sorcery. Very good against combo decks. It kind of stops combo decks from doing their thing, especially since you can kind of speed out the activation with the Iron Crag and things like that. So again, you're going to be selecting 8 of these 17 cards for your sideboard. You're going to be selecting 8 of these 15 cards for your main deck, and then you have your very own but stock version of Azorius Artifacts in Standard. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.